What's going on, everyone? I am out here in the Coachman Brookstone. I have all three ACs running. It is 94 degrees outside with a 105 degree heat index with a real feel 105 degrees. Just got everything kicked on and running. I had one AC running, not really running all the time. I just had the thermostat for that one AC set for 82 degrees. And that was about 5 minutes ago. So now that everything's kicked on and running, I'm gonna let it drop down to see if I can get it a little bit cooler in here. It's not bad at all though. We're out here at the property. It is absolutely gorgeous outside. Just a beautiful day. A little bit windy, very steamy, very, very, very humid day. It's one of those days where if you walk outside for any given amount of time, you're probably gonna walk back in covered in sweat. But we're gonna have a fun, interesting conversation about using RVs for a lot of folks who want to get into RVing and they just don't know if they should. So hang tight, I'll be right back. All right, so I'm just hanging out in various rooms in the RV just because they're all unique in their own way. This is the mid bunk. I got the top bunk up right now, and this is the desk area. You know, when you are considering buying an RV, one of the most difficult questions to answer before you get into it is how often you're really going to use it, and if you're going to love it, if you're not going to love it. You know, what are some of the things that'll go through your mind the minute you get the RV back to wherever you're going to keep it, whether it's going to be, you know, next to your garage or in a storage facility. But you tend to get that anxious kind of nervous feeling on, did we just make a good decision? And then sometimes that nervous realization kicks in that you say to yourself, man, are we really going to use this as much as we thought? Are we actually going to spend time in this RV? Is it going to get the family closer together? Are we going to be using it as much as we kind of thought we would be using it when I was justifying why we needed an RV? And there's a real challenge here because RVs are not inexpensive. And they've arguably gotten more expensive over the past couple of years. And not only that, you know, some would argue that the quality's gone down a little bit, that you aren't going to get the quality of unit that you may have gotten just, you know, 4 years ago. And even then, people question the quality of units that they were getting even 3 or 4 years ago. So, you know, it's a perfectly valid point to ask yourself if you're actually going to use the RV as much as you thought you were going to use the RV, as much as you think you're going to use the RV. And I think the challenge that a lot of people have to kind of contest with is, if we do use it as much as we claim we're going to use it, well, it's going to be more wear and tear. There's going to be more things I need to do to it to keep it on the road, functioning and enjoyable. If we don't use it as much as we thought we were going to use it, well, the other challenge is that, are we just wasting our money? Are we making a monthly payment, or did we throw a bunch of money out of pocket to buy something that now is just essentially going to go to waste? So what I want to do is I want to talk to you about, you know, what some people perceive as an expectation of people who get into RVing. And I certainly can relate because, you know, as much as we've RV'd, as much as we've traveled, as many places as we've been, there's always going to be critics out there that make you believe you're not doing it enough. Or if you are doing it enough, that there's some expectation that you need to do it even more than what you're currently doing. And to kind of clarify that, because I know that's a bit confusing, when you get into an RV, because you're spending money on something that has a specially built purpose to it, people automatically assume you need to use it as much as they would use it, or as much as they tell themselves. But what I want you to think about is this. A lot of folks who make you feel like you aren't going to use it enough, or you aren't using it enough, or you're using it too much, are people that have probably never owned an RV before, or they're people that are just pretty judgmental in terms of what expectations they set upon other people, but they would never really live up to themselves. Let me give you a really good prime example. You know, we have some friends who do not have an RV. And every time they see our RV, they're like, man, we would use the heck out of that thing. We would absolutely use the heck out of that thing if we had one. So they've been looking for an RV, and they asked me if I could help them find one. Well, I've been scouring the internet, I've been scouring Craigslist, everything to find an RV that fits their budget, that will work for their family. And I've probably found upwards of 10 of them over the past two and a half years that would be the perfect fit for what they're looking for. Some of them are the exact floor plan that they're specifically looking for. And every time I've contacted them and said, you know what, are you still looking? Are you still looking? It's like, yeah, we're ready. Yeah, just let us know when you found one. I find them, they don't even go look at it. They never even consider. It's like, oh, it's not a good time. I'm busy at work. I don't have time to go look at it. I won't have time in the next 2 weeks to go look at it. Yeah, I meant to go look at it, but I never called the guy back and it sold a month ago. There's always excuses. And those excuses are always going to exist, whether or not they buy an RV or not. The folks who make excuses about using an RV or how they're going to use an RV and then never actually get around to using it that way are often people who will be critical of others who have an RV. So if you've gone out and you've already purchased an RV and it's sitting at a storage facility and it's been there for 2 months and you're like, man, when are we actually going to get time to use this? And you're going through that internal frustrating argument, debate with yourself on, was this a good purchase? You know what? Don't rush. Get out and use the RV when you feel comfortable. Get out and use the RV in a way that you feel comfortable. Shoot, take your family out to the storage facility, pick up lunch once a week and eat at the storage facility in your RV. Take it out to a local park. Take it out to a local RV campground. But don't set your expectations of your RV based on what anybody else has set for them or for what they claim their expectations for an RV usage would be for them and their family. So the point of this video is a pretty simple one. People will oftentimes project their expectations onto other people. So if I had an RV, this is how I would use it. So this is how I expect you to use it. Or this is the RV we have, this is how we use it. So I'm expecting you to use it the same way. I've gotten enough criticism and flack because we keep an RV out here at the property now, and we haven't taken it out as much as I'd like to over the past year or so, simply because of all the reasons that 1,001 RVers would explain that they haven't gone out. Packed RV grounds, not getting the spot that you want, having cancellations and finding out that you can't even get to where you want to go, or getting there finding out that they're having problems at the RV park, or overcrowding, all of that. And we've had it out on this property now for about 6 months, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Every time we come out to it, it's this little getaway, this little, ability for us to use something we love to use in an environment that's familiar to us, with picnic tables, fire pit, water, electricity, everything we want, and it's earshot away from where we live. So, this is such a great scenario for us right now. It's almost a dream scenario. Yes, we're still going to hit the road with it. Yes, we're still going to go to some beautiful places with it, but to be able to keep it at our own beautiful place and use it the way we want to use it is perfectly fine to us. However, it may not be fine to some people who watch the channel. It may not be fine to some people who are thinking about getting into RV and going, wow, that's just a waste because it's sitting there. But what I want you to understand, if you're looking at getting into RVing, is you set your own expectations on how you're going to use it. Set your own rules. Don't go by what anybody else says. If you have it parked next to your house and it's a really great way for you to spend time with your family in your driveway, and it's building value in that sense, mark that off as a win. Mark that off as a box checked. You have the ability to use it for what it was intended to be used for, maybe just not where you were thinking about using it. And I think at the end of the day, what you'll find out is your RVing experience will be so much better when you remove the stress of wondering if you're using it financially the way you thought you would. We're putting this much money into it. How much money should we be saving on hotel stays? How much money should we be saving on food since we can cook it ourselves? Remove the expectations that other people have set on how they plan to use an RV, and set up your own expectations and set up your own wins, set up your own victories, your own mental ways of using an RV in a fashion that's going to make you happy, your family happy, you're going to get use out of it. But don't necessarily tie use of an RV to hooking it up, taking it out somewhere, struggling to get it level, struggling to get everything connected to it. Set up your victory in terms of using an RV in a sense that makes you happy, makes your family happy, takes away some stress, and helps you justify the ownership of your own RV. based off of nobody else except your own personal experiences, your own personal expectations, and what it's doing for you and your family. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this very awkward and strange video. I know it's a very different topic, and this topic is really based upon the fact that I'm sure people oftentimes look at YouTube videos, look at YouTubers, look at RV salespeople, look at all the different scenarios in which people use RVs, and they're like, man, this is how we need to use it because the industry or people or other folks are telling us this is how we have to use it. So at the end of the day, final message, sum the whole thing up. You RV the way you want to RV, the way your family wants to RV, and the way that gets you and your family closer together. That's all that matters. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, I really hope you like this video. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you again very soon.